Prunella Scales bows out, big Boeing penalties and illegal teeth whitening. Yes, welcome to another episode in which Prunella Scales takes her final bow, Boeing takes a costly tumble, and Britain's teeth take a toxic turn. Welcome to another week of Mark and Pete, where faith meets farce and nobody leaves unpolished. We're two blokes with half an opinion. Now, here's our first story.
Towers of talent. Faulty wigs and painted nails, the audience is left in fits of wails. She tipped the balance in comedic tales, so take a final bow, Prunella Scales. Well, yes, indeed. Yes, sadly, as we've heard in the news, that the former Fawlty Towers actresses, yes, Prunella Scales has died at the age of 93.
Yes.
Now, Prunella Scales was best known for playing the hotel manager Sybil Fawlty. Yes, the long-suffering and domineering wife of Basil Fawlty, who was played, of course, by John Cleese. Mr. Pete, I say that this is probably one of the iconic classic British sitcoms of all time. What say you about what Prunella Scales did for this character, but probably more importantly, portrayed a very strong but comedic character?
Well, Mr. Mark, I think the thing is with this particular portrayal, she just acted it very well. I mean, it was very well written. I think brilliantly written, possibly the best written sitcom there's ever been. There was so much in it. Jokes were set up so well that you didn't realize you were being set up. Just brilliant. But the writing of that character meant that she could easily have been just a stereotype, just
Yes.
an old a witch-like woman. But you actually found yourself liking her. It was just she just portrayed it very, very well. I mean, I think there were some missteps in the writing. Even they had her physically beating up both her husband and a builder.
Yes, I remember that.
One episode, yeah, which I think that took away from it. It shouldn't have been a physical beating. It should have been carrying of submission because of her personality, a verbal one. Yes, it took away from it, and there were a few missteps, but only few. But through it all, it was almost like you believe she was Basil Fawlty's wife.
Well, I think that's the point, wasn't it? You actually believe the character as though it was real. And to your point, it was a fine balance, because when you have such ridiculous comedy plots,
yes,
they did seem believable.
It was a farce.
It was a farce. I think that what's interesting is that she'd actually sort of developed her career as a comedic actress. And it wasn't until really the mid-1970s that she was given this opportunity. Now, you mentioned about John Cleese. It was actually he, and also at the time his wife, Connie Booth, that actually wrote the series. Now, also what's quite remarkable is there are only ever 12 episodes.
I know it is extraordinary, because you keep thinking,
it?
If you see one, you think, actually, I haven't seen this one before.
No, quite. Now, the thing that I will say is that she was also married to the actor Timothy West.
Yeah, great actor.
And he died just over a year ago, and obviously he got to a ripe old age. But the point being here is that clearly acting was in their blood. Now, I think that what I would say as well is that when you look at people who are of that ilk, that sort of standing, you look back and realize how good they were. Now, Scales herself actually did go on to other things. She actually won a BAFTA nomination for her portrayal of Queen Elizabeth II, and this was Alan Bennett's 1991 televised play. So clearly there was talent there, and I think it's the versatility. It's not easy to move into a different role when you've been associated with something such as like a Sybil Fawlty character.
Yes.
But I would say that if you think about what she also did, it paved the way for many other comedic actresses that followed. So I think that many I think of with the eulogies that have come through, many other well-known actors and actresses have recognised the achievements that she had.
Yes, I think you're right to point this out about she portrayed a strong woman, and you could have just ended laughing at her, but you didn't, because of the way she portrayed the woman. You you laughed at Basil Fawlty quite a lot, but you didn't laugh at his wife. You laughed because of the situation that she'd put Basil in, which
Yes.
put her husband. So it was an extraordinary performance, and and was a strong woman. Now, we on Market are not known for our support of feminist causes, particularly, but that's because feminism has gone off the rails. The sort of feminism that instead of wanting women to be equal, wants them to have everything, and have all the rights and no duties sort of idea in feminism that's grown up over the years. But this sort of idea of allowing women to be strong women and yet be funny, well, that's the sort of freedom that actresses didn't really have because they tended to be pigeonholed into either being pretty or being, the old witch-like character that you could laugh at.
Yes.
Um, there were some brilliant older actresses and some brilliant young actresses who are very good at being pretty, who have been noted over the years. But a woman shouldn't be just pigeonholed like that. Should be given the freedom to act if they've got the talent in the way that they choose. And she was sort of because of her skill. You could say her artistry paved the way for other actresses to have great roles in the comedic line, which made the world a better place. So, yeah, it's a great legacy.
Well, it is a great legacy, and I'm going to sort of end this part of the section with a quote from Hannah Essex, who is the co-chief executive of the Society of the London Theatre, and described Prunella Scales as an artist of precision, wit, and generosity who had made an indelible mark. Quite right.
Amen.
Well, as we sort of move on, here's a totally different story, which is more about bad goods. Boeing, gone. A production deadline is the cut-off date, where goods are delivered on time by road or freight. But if the deadline's missed and the customer has to wait, the goodwill goes bad if the goods are late.
Yes.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Boeing has been hit by a massive $5 billion penalties fine. And this is because of many production deadlines that are just simply been not met. And more importantly, customers are frustrated. Now, Mr. Pete, I say that Boeing has gone through some troubled times, particularly on production, with the building of many, many different planes. But this is a whopping fine and really a big mark to say to everybody, if you don't meet your deadline, you will be punished.
Now, I have to say, Mr. Mark, that I don't really have that much sympathy. I mean, I
Yes,
think a deadline is a deadline.
quite.
If you don't meet a deadline, then suddenly time itself has no meaning. I mean, if you're meant to do something by a certain time, now then you need to do it, or there should be penalties. I say that as someone who always does something absolutely at the last minute, uh, but that actually means to me personally that deadlines take a heightened importance. Without the deadline, I wouldn't do it at all. So yeah,
Yes.
I've no sympathy for them. I think you've got it's an interesting study of the development of English society and then of the Western world. Like I was recently reading called "God is an Englishman." Fascinating read if people want to look it up. Um, Points out that the honouring of contracts is right at the heart of Christian belief. Uh, God effectively has a contract with his people, also known as the New Testament, right? The Testament being
Yes.
being actually a covenant or contract, and so yeah, it's vitally important that contracts are honoured. Otherwise, there must be punishment. Otherwise, there's something wrong with the universe. So yeah,
Well,
Boeing, you need to be brought down out of the skies and made to actually put your nose to the grindstone and lots
yes.
of other metaphors and actually get things done on time.
Well, okay. So we come really to the reality of why are they missing their deadlines? Okay. So the main reason, according to them, is the fact that the delays have because of mounting regulatory hurdles It is quite right that some of these regulations have had to be put in place. Ironically, Boeing themselves have been guilty. As we know, the beleaguered firm basically went through a series of disasters, including a plane door blowing out mid flight. And that in itself obviously hit revenues, which obviously would have then been a big concern for the industry. But what's also delayed is the fact that, costs have escalated. And so availability of materials and many other different things have really meant that international demand for travel
Yeah.
has increased. But at the end of the day, yes, you are quite right. When you're actually project planning, you've got to actually work to a deadline. And if you
Well,
don't, then
what do
there's
you?
going to be repercussions.
Well, just a final comment there, Mark. You would better speak to this, being a businessman. Will you? Surely, what's happened here is that they've overpromised in order to get the business.
I think that what's happened here is that they have been there's a bit of a twofold. One, I think that they haven't sort of put themselves um, in the right place to be able to meet their own production deadlines, combined with the surge in demand and the regulatory changes. If regulation changes, there can be delay in quality standards because you need auditors to come in, you need that regulation, you need more certification, and that can actually cause delay. That may not necessarily something that you always anticipate, but typically there is one thing that you do, and that is put a contingency plan in, meaning that if you're working to very tight deadlines, there's nothing wrong with that. And you do not want to compromise on safety, particularly on something on a product like an aeroplane. But you normally factor in a contingency. And I think that this is something that, to me, something's gone wrong, especially when the products themselves have failed. Now, the question is that this is always the difficult one, isn't it? Because Boeing not being in the industry is a major problem, meaning there are very few organizations that can actually do what they do. That in itself tells you something that, the US itself has already recognized that, they have to raise the standards. They did raise the standards. But maybe this is a time where they have to sort of start to think about how many other players can come in to compete so that you're not just competing for the sake of, um, competition on contracts, but you've got options because if one company does go down for something like this, it's serious because it has implications not just for the consumer but for businesses. It
Yeah.
covers so many different things, which has wider implications on safety standards as well. I know that when Donald Trump, when he first came um, into government in this second term, as you know, there were some serious, should we say, aircraft issues. Some
Yes.
of it wasn't just because of poor quality products, but actually people, meaning if you don't have the right people to either fly the planes, manage the planes, construct the planes, engineer the planes, and so on, these sort of things can go awry. So I think that it's interesting, isn't it? Boeing, a very iconic brand, without any doubt, has been one for many, many decades, has been around. And unfortunately, things have sort of, their brand is tarnished. And I think they now need to sort of get back to doing what they do well. And unfortunately, they have to start improving their production standards. But there we go. It's one of the things that we hope and look forward to seeing changes in regulation, but also with the management. I think they need new management. That's what I think. So we come on to a different story. And I will say this is about taking it on the chin. If you want a gleaming smile and to keep up your chin, beware of bogus whitening treatments that cause a toothless grin. Yes. Well, isn't it where we all smile away, trying to improve our image, etc. But one of the things that is a trend is about having your teeth whitened. Sadly, there is a trend of illegal teeth whitening treatments that can actually burn your gums and destroy your teeth, so much so that you may not even have any. Mr. Pete, I will say that this idea of having sort of gleaming white teeth is maybe a little bit vain. But what say you about some of the bogus practices that are going on?
Yeah, well, it is very worrying. You're seeing a lot of adverts around for this teeth whitening, which, especially online, you see them, and of course, it is the image that you show online. I think that is causing the problem. I mean, I guess you could always get your image changed just online so that your teeth show white online, but nowhere else. But um, because of the the false standards of what people show online, people then look at their own teeth, and my teeth are actually a yellowy color. Um, they don't look white like others' images. So they try and live up to that impossible standard of beauty. Or is it beauty? We'll come to that in a minute. People are then weakened, softened up by by this sort of standard that's expected. Oh, it looks a bit icky if I've got yellow teeth. Oh, I should. It's not necessarily just. It's not vanity. It's a little bit of insecurity, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and then people just eventually they think, no, I wouldn't do that. Then eventually they do, and the ad comes in. Look, it's so simple. Yeah, it is really simple if you're happy to strip away the top layer of your teeth and leave them vulnerable by using huge amounts of peroxide. Yeah, that'll
Correct.
do it. They'll look white, but they might be very painful going forward. So don't do it.
Well, here's the thing. Some of the gels that have been pushed onto the market, which are fraudulent, contain more than 500 times the legal limit of bleaching agents. Now, they are often over-the-counter products, so sold blatantly either on social media
Yeah,
or surreptitiously through rogue retailers. Now, what is important is that the British Dental Association, the BDA, has said it is appalled about some of the findings. Of course, this actually tarnishes the reputation of many professionals. Now, in the UK, treatments using teeth whitening products contain more than 0.1% hydrogen peroxide and can only be carried out by dentists and other professionals registered by the General Dental Council, that's the GDC. So, if you are a consumer and you are looking for something like this, you have to do your due diligence and you have to really make sure you've got the right type of practice, because the danger is that cheap products might seem easy, as Mr. Peter said, but the bottom line is that there are too many examples of people who have tried these sort of things, either from them by their own um, measures because they bought products and they've tried them at home, or they've gone to rogue dentists. And
yes,
that's really serious, isn't
yeah,
it? Because you
yeah, but
can't really replace them.
just to follow up on I agree. Just to follow up on the point I was making earlier about the full standard of beauty. Uh, but is it beauty? Well, I would say no. If you've got teeth that look so white that they look false, you look
Hmm.
like you're wearing some badly fitting false teeth. You don't look
Yes.
like especially if you had your teeth altered so they're completely level as well, which is um, very popular, particularly in the United States of America land over there,
Hmm.
where I know a lot of our listeners are there. So apologies if you've got gleaming white gnashers, but they just they can look. Of course, not yours, gentle listeners. Yours look lovely, but for other people, they just look false. So you've gone from looking perfectly all right to looking like you've got false teeth.
Well,
Don't do it. You look
I guess
ridiculous.
I guess this is always subjective, but
Yeah,
whether it looks right or whether it doesn't, I think you have to also ask yourself: is it right for your health? Is
yeah,
it something that are you doing something which is extremely dangerous? And the likelihood is that it probably could do. But I guess that this is about a trend, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
these type of teeth whitening type of scandals have been something that think have been around a few years. But what's worse is they just simply are increasing. So it's always a good idea to just check
yeah,
before you
yeah.
actually start to do
Yes.
anything.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible notes is Proverbs 31:30. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. It then goes on to say, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. It could be man or woman. There's more important things than having your teeth the right color,
Well, it does. There
and
is
your
a
health
theme
is one of
here,
them.
isn't there? There's a big theme. There's the faulty acting, the faulty products, and the faulty teeth.
Oh, yes. Or yes, the whole episode summed up in one phrase. Yeah, and that does draw us to the end of this episode of Mark and Pete. But make sure that you're subscribed. Go to markandpete.com and you can sort that out, no problem. And make sure that you leave a comment, because we love to hear from you with all that we've talked about this week. We want to hear your voice on it, and whether or not you've got shiny white teeth, we want to hear from your mouth to our ears. But that's it for Mark and Pete for this week. Thanks very much for listening. Catch you next time.